Boom. What is up, everybody? Happy Saturday. It's good to see everyone on. This is our book club. We've been doing this book club, honestly, for 3+ years now. It's kind of crazy when you really think about it. And Rich Dad Poor Dad is getting wrapped up for the third freaking time. Y'all throw some gems in the chat, man. I absolutely love this book. I every time I read it, um, every time I read it, y'all, it honestly just reminds me of the importance of actually utilizing specialized information, especially when it comes to how to use money. Financial literacy is something that majority of people on the planet go their entire lives without. So the fact that you guys are intentional, have heard things and have been on your journeys and actually dove into this book, especially if you were reading this book for the entirety of the discussion since we started it again this year. You guys recognize how powerful a lot of these principles are. What's up, sis? Good morning. But with that, I'm absolutely excited to hear everybody's final thoughts on the book. We're wrapping up chapter 7 and 8, in the final thought and closings to the book. I'd love to, honestly, it's been an absolutely amazing honor of mine to hear a lot of y'all's takes as well. I've been able to learn a lot this time around, just having people who are on the same type of time, working and growing themselves, literally learning about something that is going to help us take care of our generations to come. So shout out y'all family, you know what I'm saying? If anybody wants to kick us off, you got the floor. We'll popcorn, y'all know the vibes. And then, yeah, we'll wrap this thing up.
Can I kick us off today?
You absolutely can.
Yeah, what's good?
Mm,
What's good, y'all? I hope y'all are having a fantastic day at the end of a fantastic week. Um, I'm grateful for this book. I'm grateful for y'all. I'm just in gratitude, period, because like reading something more than once is just like repetition, accumulated repetition. And for Rich Dad Poor Dad, this was such a great, like, full circle read for me where I read this book in my early 20s and did not know what I was doing, but it gave a spark. It gave me a spark to lead me here. And I just wanted to share with you guys the message that the guy who gave me this book. I used to take the train back and forth to the IE to LA. And that was a pretty long ride. And I ended up meeting a security guard there. I think I said that in that first book club when we started reading this book. And he gave me this book and he wrote me this message. And I just wanted to share it with y'all because it was so like powerful for me at the time that like now I'm realizing how powerful it really was. It's crazy. So he wrote in my book and he wrote me, read in the name of thy Lord who created. And that was from the Quran. Study to sue thyself approved. And that was from the Bible. And then he signed it to my dear friend Imani, one love, Bobai. And I was just like, okay, that's really sweet, you know? And I understand it so much more. It's like reading is fundamental, the education and the financial literacy that comes with it, especially reading these finance books and books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, um, and all the books that we've been reading so far this year have really tied into abundance in multiple different areas. I think the overall message of this book is that wealth is everywhere. Wealth is a mindset. Wealth is something that we can create and to not fear the wealth. Um, in these last couple chapters, he said something that it was so it was so powerful. But talking about he was talking about poor people, unfortunately, or poor mindset, however you want to call it, but saying that poor people are more greedy than rich people because rich people, you know, obviously have more to give, but he says that if you want to get more of something, you give what you have of that thing. So if it's money, if it's love, if it's friendship, he even said if it's a smile. One day he was walking and he noticed nobody was smiling at him. So he started smiling at other people. And then bam, everybody started smiling at him. So it's really like a mindset, a very powerful, hey, thank you, Marquez. A very powerful mindset to like catapult us into this wealth. And I'm really understanding how much more powerful it is to have mental wealth versus and emotional health versus just having material anything. Material does not matter. I loved how he said that consumers are always going to be poor. And I have like a really big thing about consumerism. I'm definitely weaning myself off of that train, like breaking those habits. In, for y'all who don't know, I'm a big environmentalist. So consumerism is like a huge problem with our environment. That's the world that we live in. That's the world that y'all gonna raise y'all kids in. The world I want to raise my future kids in. And it's sad because that is not just, people giving their money away to liabilities. It's to the point where it's like a drug that nobody cares about the environment. I won't say nobody because I care. I know some of y'all on here care. And hopefully I will inspire y'all to care more. But that mindset is so powerful. Just mindset can be powerful in two different ways. It can be detrimental or it can be uplifting. And the message of this book is that, like, if you are consuming, you're going to be poor. If you're consuming and you're not consuming in a responsible way, like how his wife did, where she wanted that Porsche and she had some extra money from their assets and she just paid it. Done. Easy. And that's how simple it really is. So I will say this really, I mean this so powerfully, like the fact that people and me myself have make it seem like it is so hard to have all the things that we want, make the money that we want. Money is everywhere. Deals are everywhere. Everything is in abundance. And if you don't believe that, you're not going to have that. Simple as that. So just as simple as it is to, always revert back to a negative mindset, you can easily rewire your brain. I forgot who one of y'all said that on the call a couple weeks ago. It's been stuck in my brain ever since. But if you can think negatively, you can think positively. And by thinking positively, you can attract everything that you want and more. And more. That's the crazy part. You give, you teach, you give money, you get it tenfold. That's something, shout out to Amber. That's something we learned in Powerful Creator. Everything you give, you'll get back tenfold. And that can go either way. You can get it, you get these hands or you can get these bands, whichever one you guys want. So,
Oh go off. That was so fun,
bro. I'm just gonna end off with this because I cannot wait to hear everybody's views on the book. But because of this book, reading it again and having a more spiritual understanding, a more emotional, mental understanding. Yesterday, I just want to little share real quick. Yesterday, I started working for the first time in like 6 months, which was hard for me to go back because I'm like reading this book and I'm like, it's not gonna make me money. It's not gonna give me what I want, whatever. But I had some synchronicities, like my birthday popped up, my friend's name popped up. We were just talking, and I ended up talking to the ladies in the office yesterday just about my spirituality, what I believe in, where my financial goals are, and not to be spreading my business and telling my dreams, but being vulnerable with people to help open people's eyes, right? And one of the girls, one of the women, she came in and she was so cool. She wanted to hear all about it. I invited her to book club. She's not able to come today because she's at work, but I invited her to the Powerful Creator Talk, and she's going to be coming to that. She was so lit. We was vibing so hard. She actually invited me to this like very luxurious apartment building in downtown Dallas called The National. Had this restaurant called Montrose. Super luxurious, gorgeous. I got dressed. I was feeling pretty and I was feeling like nervous about going because I'm like, okay, well, what if things go wrong? Blah, blah, blah. I quiet my mind. I listened. I did some breathing exercise and I was like, everything's going to work out. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for having such a good time. Like wealth, money, abundance, everything. I'm going to feel the vibes because I had wanted this and it was happening. So instead of like, thinking crazy. I thought like, yo, this is really happening and this is going to be great. We ended up going. She knew she knew so many people up in that bar. We got our drinks for free. We got dessert for free in a restaurant that the meals were starting at 20 something dollars. There's like models walking around. Everybody's in designer. We got makeup artists, like all this different stuff. And girl, y'all, I didn't barely paid anything on that tab. Everything was pretty much covered. And it was just so lit to be around her, knowing that like she is the type of person who wants to be a content creator, the things I want to do. So I'm like, okay, let's switch the mindset, focus, and blossom. And like us as a group, very powerful. So like I said, I'm very grateful for you guys. And we're gonna get to the money always and forever. I'm gonna popcorn Kelsey if she's available. If not, I'm popcorn Amber.
I think she's working because she put that in the chat. What's up, everybody? Okay, Imani with the fire. Give me 1 second. Can y'all see me? We're out here. Okay. Okay, Imani, that was crazy. Super hot value. Everything that you said was on point. Your energy is on point. Thank you so much, man, for your energy and giving your energy, because that's very, 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 very valuable. What I want to talk about was, is that like number 10, teach and you shall receive, the power of giving. I just really, really resonated with that. I mean, this is my first time reading this book, so I had like heard that principle from another mentor, and just reading it here, understanding like, just how everything correlates, and it's just like reiterated is so incredible. So the only, like, honestly, I don't have much to say because there's just a lot of info in this that I'm still like taking in and digesting for myself. And so the only thing I want to reiterate was, number 10, teach and you shall receive, the power of giving. If whatever it is that you want, you got to give it first. Like it said, like a smile, money. If you want to sell something, help other people sell. If you want to like learn something, teach somebody else. Like whatever it is that you want, you have to give it first. You have to give the energy of what you want, and you will receive it back. And so I like what he said in here. It says, I trust that the principle of reciprocity is true, and I give what I want. Like what he said, I trust that the principle of reciprocity is true. Like you have to know and trust that these principles are true. Like they are, but you have to believe in the principle as well. You can't just be like, oh, well, I'll see. Like, no, you have to trust and know that that is what's going to happen. So that's all I have to share today. Let's see, I want to pop in. Sam, hey Sam, good morning.
What's going on, family? How we doing this Saturday? Welcome to the book club. Appreciate everybody being here and giving me the time to speak, man. I know Amani had that fire, so let's see if we can keep that energy up, man. This book to close out, man. It's different, man. It taught me, just what currency really is, like, and the different type of currency, because we just thought, we just trade our time for money. We go to work and we get paid, and that just feeds all of the programming in our bodies that just to keep us exactly where we are. We want the instant gratification. If I work today, I need to get paid by Friday, and that doesn't feed our delayed gratification that, when you have to build something and start something, you put in the work first, and then you probably won't get paid, so, 3 months, a year, 3 years later, but it's going to come, and you got to believe that. And man, what he put out, what's resonated with me when I was listening to it, man, is the stigma behind being an Indian giver. We give something, and I guess the stigma behind it is you're going to ask for something back, right? And that's always the negative thing. But again, this whole book is about neuroplasticity, changing the thoughts we have, rewiring our brain to think like the wealthy and stop thinking like the poor. And when he says that, with and he also says, not to have transactional interactions, be personal, be president, but with the idea of, I'm giving, what could be called sweat equity, because like I said, there's different currency. There's not, you don't just pay things with money. Obviously, you pay things with time, and we can pay things for like relational currency. I had a friend just recently, he said an older gentleman invited him to come over to his house to work on his computer. He had to like just having trouble with his computer as an older gentleman, and my friend is tech savvy, and he's like, I don't even want to go. Like, I'm not gonna get anything. And I said, bro, like you have to think, like you might not get paid today. What if that man, like, he has a business owner, he has businesses. What if 3 months later you get paid from what you did today? And just try to reframe the thinking of like, don't just think of it like as transactional, but think of it as like you said, an Indian giver. You're giving your time, you're giving your effort, and for something to be in return, because we have to be resourceful, and we don't always have the best resources. You got to think of not what you don't have, or what you have. And the people you have in your life, networking, and it's huge. Like Marcus says, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. So that's just what I've learned. And then just to tie it back into the chapter, of getting started, it's just we always wait for, the perfect conditions, the perfect time. But if you wait for that, you've already too late. Like I've learned, just the rules of business. And business truly is just like a list of little small things, and success is doing those things. So, we tend to overcomplicate things, but it can be very simple. I won't say easy and I won't say hard, but it can be very simple. If we just focus in on what we need to do, and again, take the teachings from this book, it teaches you how to, overcome that fear and doubt of what's stopping us from getting started. Everything has been programmed to keep us where we are. The job is just to keep us just over broke. The school is just to teach us how to be an employee. They don't even teach goal setting. They don't even teach financial literacy. Taxes. I mean, do I need to say more? Like they don't want you to win, guys. And so the information that we get from these books are what is going to take us to where we want to go. So that's what I got out of this book. You know, I won't keep any more of y'all time. I appreciate y'all giving me the time to speak. And let me see who we gonna popcorn next. I see Ro in the chat. Ro, are you available?
Yes, sir. What up, y'all? I did not finish the book, so what am I going to talk about? So I just listened to rather chapter 5, and the biggest part that stuck out to me, I think it might be the biggest part that stuck out to me in the book so far, is about the mindset. And what was he talking about? Like, I'm trying to remember because I was listening to the audio. It's slipping my mind right now. But I don't know, this book, like when we first started reading it, I was ready to quit my job, right? So quick and so easy. But thank God for mentorship because Marcus is like, don't quit your job yet. Have a plan. This book is just preparing me for the next step, the next level. I really feel like it's crucial, and I'm so grateful to have finally read this. Mikhail told me about this book when I met him like 3 years ago, and I've been asleep. So, I think I read it at a very opportune time because of my financial situation, where I'm at with all this debt that I have to pay up, that came up really from a situation where I acted out on my feelings and my emotions, instead of doing the right thing. Now I'm doing the right thing, but it's with a cost. And so I feel like it's been a huge lesson in just how I conduct myself, because if I want to be, think about my six-figure self, my six-figure self wouldn't go key somebody's car, which would lead to catching a felony case, which would lead to having to pay all this money to get rid of the felony, you know. Um, and my six-figure self also wouldn't be worried about how I'm gonna pay the next bill and the next rent and this, that, and the third. So I'm really just trying to embody that mindset. And like shout out to powerful creators, because that call we had on Tuesday was really impactful about belief. And you know, the affirmations, I've been using them, I've been doing them. And I want to be more all in with my affirmations, like repeat them to myself all day every day. um but what I've been doing over the past few days is just when I'm feeling, I catch myself, the awareness part. Like if I'm talking with somebody and I'm talking about like, oh, I'm tired. I'm like, no, wait, I'm feeling tired, and I am working on prioritizing and balancing, you know, so that I'm not tired. I'm not tired. I just feel tired, and that will go away once I get rest. I have to learn how to prioritize better. And so the mindset piece is just the biggest part that I took away from this, because, people, I hear people talking about in other places of my life that our thinking and our minds can be dark places and can be our greatest enemy, which is so true. But this book talks about your mind. Oh, that's the part. Our minds are our biggest asset. When he was talking about that in chapter 5, that shit was a big green flag, because um and the part about how the way that wealth is earned, or that money is earned, is, it used to be through what the fuck was it? I forget. Um, but it moved into the industrialization industry, and then it moved into, now today is information, right? Information is wealth. And so in order to be the wealthiest, you have to continue to seek more information. I have to continue to seek information, and the right information. And it's all in the mind. And like my mind is my biggest asset. And so I need to train my mind in order to be the person that I want to be. It all starts in here, and in here. And just thank God that I realized that today, because I have not always realized how powerful and great that I am through my mind and my thinking. And I slip
Yes,
up
ma'am.
sometimes. So, yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna say, because I didn't even finish the book yet. But I love y'all. Amber, do you want to go? Did you already go? Oh no, it's raining. Fuck, I'm outside and it's raining. I'm at this
Yeah, I
event,
already
y'all.
went.
Bruh. Oh shit. Who didn't go yet?
Anybody else? Just call anybody else's name.
My bad. Yes, please. It's raining. I'm at this event. Kelsey, Marcus, Cam, anybody? Somebody?
I'll go one second.
Thank you.
Boom. That gave me just enough time. So
I'm not gonna lie to y'all, my internet out this way, I'm like in the sticks of Minnesota right now. My internet is super spotty right now. But I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm here just listening in.
all good. You sound good though, bro. Cool. Wow, so we're gonna do this technique because it wasn't working. But yo, props to everybody genuinely on the call, because just hearing y'all's takes, the application of knowledge is the actual power. It's not just the knowledge itself. So obviously a lot of y'all have been implicating those different paradigm shifts, those different demeanors, the different perspectives, and that takes sweat equity. You know what I'm saying? It's not just what you're doing, it's the type of energy you're putting in while you're doing the work, the intention behind it. I always tell people like what's beneath the surface, because that's essentially what you're going to get more of, as Imani was talking about in attracting abundance, to Sam really being in motion and how you've got to actually put yourself in that position and do the things and make it simple, because it's really not that difficult. We're just complicated people. And Rosizi, man, like being able to really like see you throw in the different mind shift is one of the most amazing things, because once you know, and you recognize that if I decide to choose a different perspective other than the one that I can empower myself to have, then that's your decision. It's your choice. But that level of awareness, shout out the power of awareness, because those who were part of the book club from that jump really set the tone this year. But within power of awareness and recognizing where you're at to get to where you're going, I think that's the essence of this book, y'all. I think it's very important to recognize that you always need to humble yourself and remain in student mode. Through that, he's said multiple times throughout this book how he's known people who are making multiple six figures a year, but are also still financially illiterate and will not ever be financially free. And you've got to recognize that you can easily get caught in that consumer type of lifestyle and mindset, because everything is designed for you to take that route of least resistance. But if you just decide to apply intention, it's difficult, but it's genuinely the same in motion as if you were putting energy choosing not to put intention. You're gonna have to choose your heart. So I just want to commend you guys, because it's not easy whatsoever, and honestly, the road, and I love what Jim Rohn says, and he honestly changed my mindset about it, because I used to think, well, I don't need to be a millionaire. But Jim Rohn says, go and become a millionaire, not for the sake of the $1 million, but for the sake of the person that you must become to earn $1 million. And everybody I talk to who makes 7 figures and above talk about how difficult it is to make that first. But once they make the first, it's a wrap. It literally is, man. And it's because they've embodied and built character. And that's what life's about, yo. You're supposed to grow. You're supposed to push yourself. You're supposed to actually reach a potential. We all are capable. You just have to be willing. So be willing to implement all these things on a consistent basis in a manner you haven't done before. I'm specifically talking to myself, but I'm really also talking to people who read this book multiple times. Like, I challenge y'all to implicate these things in a manner you have not done before. Because if you want change, you've got to change, and we've got to be different and even more detailed within our movements. It's crazy the type of conversations we've been having as of late, along with this book coming at the time that it's coming and the way that he wrapped it up. And I'm going to read these because it sounds like a lot of y'all didn't get to finish it. But I'm going to read these 10 real quick because Amber touched on number 10, but all of them are extremely powerful. Regardless of the fact, implicate it with intention in a way you haven't done before so that you can see a different result than what you've had previously. If we do whatever we've always done, we're always going to get what we've always gotten. And we've been getting very uncomfortable in this season, operating and moving money in a way that a lot of us haven't done in a consistent manner before, and getting into place to help a collective while compounding our skill sets over time. Like, it's difficult, but it's worth it. You know what I'm saying? I'd much rather be going after this rather than blindlessly or what's the word I'm looking for? Not just blindlessly, but unaware of what I could be or what I could do just because of where I'm at or what I got going on. So a lot of these are extremely powerful. I challenge you guys to implicate these things in a way that you haven't done before. So the last chapter 8, right? I'm just going to read these quick 10. 1, find a reason greater than reality, the power of spirit. Period, point blank. For me, I keep God number 1. He gets all the glory and he keeps me going. Number 2, make daily choices, the power of choice. I hope y'all recognize that a lot of the conversations I've been having as of late has been about, okay, what are you doing or what are you not doing? What are you choosing to entertain? What are you choosing not to entertain? What perspective are you choosing to look through? What is your lens? And if you check yourself on a every second type of basis, you start to recognize that you've been doing a lot of things subconsciously, and then you have the power to use your subconscious mind to your advantage. You can train it. Meaning the stuff that you were unaware that you were doing that was negatively holding you back, you can replace with a skill set or a thought or a choice that can help you have more intention long term. And as you train your subconscious mind, you don't have to no longer think about it. It embodies who you are. I don't have to think about going and getting my exercise in every week because I recognize and I made that choice a long time ago. And eventually I didn't have to remember to make the choice. I just make the choice, so train your subconscious mind, y'all. You do have power. A lot of people think we're just at whim, but you are the master of your fate and the captain of your soul. Number 3, choose friends carefully, the power of association. And you got to continuously check that and recognize that the people that got you where you're at might not be the people that get you to where you're going. You've got to recognize that the people that you're currently around are keeping you from a level of yourself that you will never obtain unless you separate. At the end of the day, it's going to require a season of solitude. I don't like the word isolation, but choosing leadership, that's the price you pay. Talking to a lot of people who want to lead here, organizations, companies, people, families, y'all on this type of call because y'all are wanting to lead by example. Get ready to pay the price. And the price of that is genuinely doing it in a way that most people won't. And it really comes down to that number 2. That's why he told you, after you understand what you've aligned yourself with something greater, number 2, understand the choices you make because you have power behind that. And then 3, choose your friends. If they're not helping you, you're not a tree. Get up and move. If you cannot change the people around you, change the people around you. Period, point blank. You just got to be in tune with what you want most and not waver or settle for anything less. And if you choose that, you'll be in tune for the longevity. Number 4, master a formula and then learn a new one. The power of learning quickly. Shout out TGF Network. Shout out PC. Shout out everybody who's actively investing in themselves to actually grow. Y'all are learning skill sets and y'all are applying them, getting things in motion. Number 5, pay yourself first. The power of self-discipline. I really want y'all to understand that majority of you guys still operate with, I need to pay bills first as a mindset. I'm so sorry, but you are not going to get wealthy. You're not going to get wealthy.
Say it again. Say it again.
Bills are a priority, yes. But he's saying that the way in which you pay bills has to change in order for you to get into those wealth brackets, period, point blank. He talks about paying himself first. His rich dad made sure he paid himself. Go and reread chapters 1 through 3. His rich dad made sure that he was putting money into his number 1 asset so that he could leverage systems and people and eventually have money flowing to him because you attract who you are, not what you want. All of it literally comes down to mindset. But Robert Kiyosaki really wants y'all to recognize that you have to apply discipline, meaning paying yourself first, even when it doesn't make sense. And I'm not talking about you, your personal bank account. I'm talking about you, your dreams, your skills, your value. Like you have an ability to invest in you, but most people just consume. We want to buy. You can use that same mindset, but buy things that will help you grow. You know what I'm saying? It never made, there's one TikTok we be posting within our social media strategy. A lot of people know it, but I live by this because it literally makes no sense to me. People will spend $150 to $300 on a night out, on some drinks, keeping it a buck, on some motita. You don't know what that is? Mary Jane. And then on top of that, shoes, clothes, things that never have a return on themselves, but they are so unwilling to spend that same 100 on them, on their mindset, on a skill, on a way in which they can actually leverage people and things that have been already done for you to get you to where you want to go. it never will make sense to me in my brain. It will not click. It never has. And I'm grateful to find people who are in the motion of changing that paradigm, because at the end of the day, you always got the money. It's where are you spending your money? Period, point blank. Where you find a man's treasure, there too you'll find his heart. It's biblical, y'all, truly. Boom. But number 6, pay your brokers well. The power of good advice. He said, good professionals save you time and they make you money, provide you with information as well as making you income. Like, who are those people around you? Because at the end of the day, like, you need a team. Wealth is a team building sport, and you've got to recognize that you need solid people in your corner. Again, what this man Sam talked about as an Indian giver, the power of getting something from nothing. Like, literally, you're just called to give. You know what I'm saying? So I think the world would be a lot different if everybody just gave to give rather than seeking an incentive all the time. That's why I appreciate my boy Mikhail, but also he's a mentor, y'all. You know, I tell y'all all the time, like, he's my best friend. We're a business partner. But first time I met this dude, like, from jump, I knew he was going to teach me a lot. And he's still a mentor of mine. So I never take the power of proximity for granted. I always remind myself of it. I highly recommend you guys do the same, especially when it comes to the people you're learning from and when you have access to them. Don't take it for granted. Be in motion and recognize you can always learn. But this man is an example. He gives free value all the time. He'll help people left and right and show them that he can help. And then eventually he gets paid tenfold. It's lit. He's got receipts to prove it too. So it's lit, man. But 8, use assets to buy luxuries, the power of focus. Use assets to buy luxuries, the power of focus. What he is essentially saying is, if you cannot buy luxuries with assets yet, you should be buying assets, not luxuries. You got to focus on the main picture, and you've got to build cash flow so you have assets. Things are putting money in your pocket, flowing into more assets, things that are building more money into your pocket, so that the financial freedom that you hit, the abundance and the growth of that income can pay for the things that you want. And you can get down to the percentage of how much you're going to give in luxuries and how to treat yourself. Like, for me, I specifically only have 10%. It don't matter what my paycheck looks like, but whatever that is, I only have 10% of that for me. Everything else goes back to my business, my utilities, whatever the things I need to go and pay. So through paying that 10% to yourself, if you want to go buy more luxuries, figure out a way to go and acquire assets that help you build the 10% amount. Like, if you're only making $1,000 a month, that 10% ain't a whole lot. But what if that's 10,000? What if that's 100? Obviously, the 10% that you have to work with increases. So if you're somebody that enjoys luxuries, you can set up a mind shift of using that as a goal to achieve so that you have more luxuries. I'm not saying not to go and consume. Go and do your thing when you got it, though. And that's what he's trying to remind you guys of, because he talks about it all throughout the book. And then number 9, choose heroes, the power of myth. By having heroes, we tap into the genius. And because they make it look easy, they inspire us to try. If you remain in a perspective of being inspired, you will celebrate people more than you envy them. If you remain in a spirit of being inspired, you will seek the actual people around you that are continuously showing up every day and helping you become the best version of yourself. It's contagious, y'all. But most people, sometimes they look at a perspective of lack, and they choose to not look at the things that can inspire them on a daily basis. You just gotta have a paradigm. If you're struggling, y'all, spend a minute outside and disconnect from everything just for a second and look around you. But go outside and breathe for 1 minute, and you'll recognize there's so much to be grateful for. And you've got to keep your mindset there so you attract those type of emotions and the things you got going on. And then number 10, teach and you shall receive, the power of giving. He pointed out the left and right hemisphere moment. So I wanted to read this real quick. Left hemisphere moment. Use self-discipline to pay yourself first in order to protect the priority of growing your asset column. It gives you why you need to pay yourself first. Protect the priority of growing the asset column. Right hemisphere moment. Keep your mind open to new ideas and new ways of doing things. If you remain closed-minded or you grow from being open-minded, but because we're human beings and we like consistency or habits, you might get back into a closed environment and thinking there's not a better way to do things. So you got to always remain open-minded to new ways of thinking. And then subconscious moment, harness the deep-seated emotional reasons you want to become rich. Make them strong. They will help you weather the obstacles along the road to wealth because the obstacles are unavoidable. Wealth is truly a mindset, and it's able to help you in all areas of your life. How you do anything is how you do everything. And if you operate abundantly, will be abundant. I feel like you become more abundant the moment you realize you already are abundant. You attract more of it once you operate in it. But if you're always seeking outward as if you don't already have more than what some people wish they had bare minimum, you're playing yourself. You're playing yourself. I played myself for years, bro. For years, and it kept me so stagnant. And now that I'm able to use money as a tool in a way that the financially literate people do, not only being confirmed from principles in this book, but being around 7-8 figure earners who are moving using the principles of this book, I am excited. I am genuinely excited because I recognize that we are doing it. But I had to change my brain, y'all. Otherwise, I would have been stuck in this quote unquote stuck. You can't be stuck. I would have recycled the same thought processes over and over again. So being able to steward over that and pass that thing down so that we have generational wealth to come, I'm excited because I recognize that it takes sweat equity. But as Mikhail taught me about sweat equity. It's lit. But sweat equity, that's what's going to get you exactly where it is you want to go. And you've got to know that it needs to be paid daily and that you've got to do it regardless of your circumstances. If things are great, if things suck, you find that middle ground and you remain grateful and you focus on the things that need to be done, progress 1% every day. That 1% will get compounded over time and you'll literally embody an entire new lifestyle. And it really starts with your mind. So like being wealthy, being rich, it's a lifestyle in terms that are reserved for the not chosen few, but for the few who choose to actually think in the right perspectives and apply what it is that this man teaches. I'm grateful, y'all, because it's honestly helped me recognize what is in motion. Look, I got you. I have a little note that I read it on the daily. I'm gonna read you exactly what sweat equity is. Boom. So I don't know where y'all keep y'all affirmations, but I have a little fancy little note card thing I read on the daily. Boom. And then after this, my mom's gonna take it because I'm excited to hear her perspective. She was reading the hard copy today. Came outside, gave me my book back. I was like, okay, mom. Boom. But essentially, you know what I'm saying? Sweat equity is honestly the effort that you put in. It's the nights that you stay up. It's the early mornings that you wake up. It's the extra mile that you put in. It's the conversations that you have in the car with somebody who you just built a business with. It is the literal hours. It's the literal energy. It's the sweat. It's the grind. It's the grit. It's literally everything that you put towards with intention the dreams and the goals that you have. So I always remind myself, hey, where is this thing? I always remind myself of this because it's in motion. But yeah, Mama, you can start. I'm looking for it.
All right. Good morning. Wow. What good feedback all of you guys had. You guys definitely brought energy early this morning and just made me excited just to know that we are collaborating all together, sharing our thoughts about a book and what we're going to do to change that, what we're going to do to put action behind what we're reading. Again, this is my third time reading this book, and we definitely get different things the third time around. To start off, chapter 8, getting started. We started off the chapter with "There's gold everywhere. We are just not trained to see it." And the third time around, I really resonated and thought about what that really meant. And I didn't do that the past two times that I read this. And to me, it's just like opportunities for you to be better, to find a purpose, to find the reason why you're here. God does not want us stagnant. I'm a firm believer. Um, I'm gonna actually, if I hang up because my headphone is about to die, I'm gonna put it in and hopefully it won't hang up. Okay, hold on.
It's all good, Mom. Y'all, just to let y'all know, every time she touches her headphone, even slightly, it usually kicks her out.
I'm here. It didn't
Oh,
kick
it
me
worked.
out.
Let's get it on. Let's get it.
Okay, perfect. Anyhow, so like I was saying, there's just a lot of opportunities that that are out there, and not a lot of people, especially from my background, we didn't really think about those type of opportunities because it wasn't brought to our attention that way. You know, like he said in the book, the message is still to work hard, earn money, and spend it. And when we run short, we can always borrow. That's how I was taught. That's how I was taught. But I'm glad Marcus went through all of these uh the 10 steps, because I wrote each one of those down as well. And I think out of those 10, I like them all, but it's crazy because, my parents used to tell me, be an Indian giver. You're an Indian giver. You're an Indian giver. And that's what the book is telling you to do. Not only that, teach and you shall receive. I was taught that too, not teach, but give. My grandma always told me the more you give, the more you'll receive. Um, she was a very faithful woman of God as well. So that was just her biblical side of her teachings, teaching me that, which is, I think, one of the main ones that we should fall back on is, teaching and you shall receive, or even giving. Just be generous with what you have, is what he says. And the more you teach, the more you learn. Into chapter 9, still wanting more. He lists some actions that we should do. And as far as the actions go, he put stop doing what you're doing. Take a break and assess what is working and what is not working. Like, you want something, and I'm talking to myself. You can say you want something all you want, but if you continue to repeat the cycle to not get out of that same thing that you're doing, you're never going to get any results. You're going to continue. You're going to be like a dog and chase its tail. That's what we're looking like. like the rat race, the way they say, like a hamster in its wheel, just going and going and going, trying to get somewhere different, but there's no different action behind that. Look for new ideas. Again, that could be insisted as there's gold everywhere, opportunities. What can you do to be different, to get better, learn a new skill set, the whole nine. This book is awesome. I really enjoyed reading it for the third time. So thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it.
Hey, Mama Mary, that was a dope take.
I love you.
A lot of differences in like just different generations too. Like I'm glad like this age and you have Marcus to like lead you into this age where it's like, okay, now your whole mindset, you didn't read the book how many times and your whole mindset is changing. It's like, it works. It works going together. So it's like power of family as well. I did want to just throw this out there to y'all. Like that whole term Indian giving is actually a slur, a racial slur that was made up in, during like, I think around like the Jim Crow era, like even earlier than that, basically, the Brits came, the colonizers came, and they were given like, not even really given, like the Native American people gave them blankets to use and asked for it back. They just gave it to them to use. They assumed that they were being given that, and then it became Indian giving, which is crazy to think that certain things are just like made up from very terrible times. Like the whole idea of colonizing America was to demonize the Native American people, and that was a term to help create that. So give all you want, take back. I don't know. Okay, that's it.
Michael, I think, are you the last one?
I was just about to ask that question. That's why I looked in there. I was like, what's going on, squad? I think I am. I believe everybody else went, so I appreciate whole squad for being on here. It's fire. Marcus, I appreciate the props as well while you were sharing. I was like, dang, I taught this man just a little bit, huh? You know what I'm saying? Squad.
No, yeah,
But
bro,
no,
I threw this is on my note card. I read it, bro, all the time. But this is literally I took this from my notes. It was like one of the first or second team calls I plugged into with y'all squad when we were in secret. But anyways, it says longevity requires more than what it requires to get there faster. Focus on what brings and keeps you success. Your time is your sweat equity. Boom. But
dude, what's wild is I actually remember that value session. Like
yeah,
that
hell
Wednesday night call. I remember that one. That's crazy. But it's real life. That's insane to really think about the value that he's been dropping for a long time. But oh, this book is dope. It honestly just kind of, I don't know. It just makes me get in the feels every time I read it because like I feel the growth in myself. And this book also is because we read this thing every year and because we have some people that are reading it for their second or third time. We have some people that have never read it and they're reading it for their first time. It's just dope to see the growth because this is a very reflective book that really makes you take a very deep introspective look into your own life and it's really cool. So I just appreciate y'all joining in on the process. It's been lit. Um, I'm gonna start with one of the last things that I seen in the book actually before I dive into just a few of the notes. Because honestly, as I was sitting here listening, you guys wrapped that up perfectly. Like between everything that everybody has said, I'm like, dude, whole squad. Even the little part about the Indian giver I was gonna touch on. Shout out Imani. You know what I'm saying? I was like, all right, cool. But shout out whole squad, man. A few things that I wanted to touch on, and this is just kind of piggybacking off of Mama Mary just now. But the last page of the things that he told us to do in the last chapter. One, he talked about looking for people who buy first and look for someone who wants to sell. That was huge because, just to relate it back to what some of us do for a business on the side, we do direct sales and it's so easy to get caught up in looking for people who want to sell versus people who want to buy. And in the last 90 days, we happened to hitch ourselves with a company called Infinity, and they taught us a system for that. And I know for a fact it has made all the difference in lowering the anxiety level, the stress level, as well as just creating more productivity within our business as well. And it's more profitable in our business than we have ever done in the last 3 years. Why? Because we just changed that focus of being focused on people that are selling versus being focused on people that are buying and creating a conducive environment for them because we know how to create a conducive selling environment. Get your ass to work. You know what I'm saying? Give you the tools in the process. Like it's that part's extremely simple. It's 2% mechanics, it's 98% mental. So we built up an entire ecosystem and culture for that. Where we were lacking was having a culture for the people who wanted to buy first and then the people who wanted to sell. So it was dope to just look at that difference because truly in the direct sales space, I feel like a lot of us are afraid to get into the direct sales space and to really share some things with our friends in fear of looking like the person who's trying to sell, so, like find somebody else who wants to sell it with them and being that person versus just finding your people who actually want to buy what you're selling because those people aren't going to look at you weird at all whatsoever. They're going to be excited. They're going to dive through the information. And from there, they'll go and have results. And in the process, you can continue to live your life. I almost said regular life, but it ain't regular. But in that process, you can continue to live your life. I had a conversation with my wife the other day. Me, Marcus, and her were all on the phone. And she started talking about like normal people having regular friends. And I was like, yo, in this industry, you can do that. You've just got to become a professional and not be a.
Bro, he was going off, y'all. He was going off because that's so fire and intentional.
Why is that like the third
Guys.
time?
Oh, he was going off, y'all. Oh, look, there he
Well, I
is.
can't. Hey, look, I'm
Okay.
glad I got two phones now because I can't never keep these things
Why is that
charged at
like
the
the
same
third
time.
time that's happened?
This
I
man,
swear, that's
this
like the
man.
third time that's happened.
Okay, hey, y'all, he working on it. He working on it.
I'm
Now,
working on it, y'all. My apologies.
we've been talking about
But
some intentional things. We really have.
it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Hey, but
But
no, that's key, bro. That's a fire
yeah,
point.
no, it definitely is. So, like, what I was saying is like when you are a professional versus an amateur, you literally can create those friendships. You can have those boundaries. Ring light just died too. You can have those boundaries. Like you can truly do everything that you absolutely need to do and that you want to have in your life. You can have. Being in this industry, it's just a little different. And as an amateur, we literally be trying to sell all of our friends instead of just looking for the people who want to buy from us. And I know that sounds and feels confusing, but you know the people who don't want to sell that shit. Let's just be real and take the gloves off today, y'all. Like, you know, the people who don't want to do it with you. So stop talking to them about it. Just be their friend. Be normal. Be an average, like, not an average person, but like, just be a person who can, like, build your career and everybody doesn't have to do it and it's not a problem. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. We don't need you. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. We can make money regardless. It is a-okay. And in that, you can still keep those relationships and it makes this business easier. So I wanted to point out that note because when it comes to what we do, it's a pivotal way of thinking. And if you have that paradigm shift, you can move completely different. And also, you can start to really network with your friends and eventually they'll probably buy what you're selling. Let me just keep it real. It's a Jedi mind trick. They'll probably buy what you're selling eventually if you stop talking to them about it. Why? Because they'll see you progressing without them. So, in that, you know what I'm saying? Don't be worried about the people who don't want to sell it. Don't be worried about the people who don't want to buy your product either. Just stay focused on what you're focused on. But in that, there were so many amazing notes that he dropped. The other one was think big. The other one was learn from history. And then this last one was huge. Action always beats inaction. Those were like some huge notes that are very simple and like we all know the meaning. It's not like you got to dive too much into those. Like, yo, think bigger, faster, and move your feet. You're not a tree. Like, literally, get up and go. And so in that, they were just monumental notes for me to end this book on, to also just be mindful of, like, when it comes to action over inaction, all of the principles that we read in this book, you've got to take action on them and not just talk about them. He talked about a few times, a lot of people think with their mouths. It's so real. I've had moments in my life where I've thought with my mouth, where I've just been talking and talking and talking. Eventually, I say some shit that I needed to understand. It's literally thinking with your mouth instead of thinking with your brain. And most people will talk until they're blue in the face, but they won't actually put any action towards what they're talking about. Most people will talk about their dreams and goals and never take those actual steps day to day on going and getting them. Most people want to do $3,000 a month residual income in their direct selling business model. Yet they're not showing enough people every single day. They're not hitting enough people. They're not hopping on the calls on time. They're not being present. They're not inviting other people to the calls as well. They're not doing the productivity steps that it actually takes to do that. Yet they're saying it out of their mouth. That is 98% of people on this planet. Even in this process, when a member becomes a part of TGF, it literally starts off like that. Everybody it gets excited about the dream until they realize it's a little bit harder than you think. And then it's like a learning curve of getting a person to actually execute those first steps to the point where they start to see results. I love that story where dude was talking about that $3,000. And instead of him giving his son and saying, hey, go buy $3,000 worth of education, he said, I'm going to give you $3,000 for the application of the information. And I'm going to give you the education on the side as well, so that as you go and lose it all in the very beginning, you understand that knowledge will help you keep it all and go get more. And from there, he reversely taught him the lesson. It was very different, but I loved that lesson. I was like, yo, he literally taught my man the importance of money. He taught my man the importance of losing it all, being able to build it right back. He taught him the importance of priorities and financial priorities. Don't go buy a car over buy some education and a skill set that can literally teach you how to go and make money. And if y'all didn't know, he literally taught his son how to trade. You know what I'm saying? Just saying. But in that, like, being able to have access to what we have access to and doing what we're doing, we are literally following the exact steps of Rich Dad Poor Dad, damn near to a T when you look at this entire book in its entirety. And what we're doing here, it's just bigger than most people zoom in and think. Most people zoom in and think, I'm literally just trying to build a paycheck. And you got to zoom out and understand that we're trying to change your life so that your story can change others. So if you understand that as well, and you think that, feel that, believe that, you'll operate as such. Just like Roshizi was talking about operating as her six-figure self. Operate as the self of you that would inspire others. Move around as that one. And then when you find your moments of overreaction, when you find your moments of pettiness, when you find your moments of undisciplinedness, you will literally like be like, okay, hold on, I got to switch this. And you'll start to become very intentional. But you just got to believe in everything that you read. Like if you read the Bible and you believe that God is the God who he says he was, especially the one in the Old Testament, because he's the same God then and now, says in the Bible. If you believe that, I think that you would be a bit more disciplined about the inactions that defy that belief. But if you don't believe it, if you aren't thinking big enough, if you haven't zoomed out enough, and if you aren't taking action on those beliefs, I promise you, you'll end up in that place you don't want to be. And so it was just dope to look at these lessons of the book because you can take them spiritual, you can take them literal and physical as well. And Robert Kiyosaki is just cold, and it's no like misunderstanding to me at all why this man's book has literally been the number one personal selling and finance bestseller for almost 25 years straight. That is almost unheard of in the author space. So it was dope. A few other things that he talked about is one being the financial genius. He talked about in chapter 8. When he talked about the financial genius, this was actually code, and it was like a real quick sentence, and it was wild. So one, he talked about how it taught us to not worry about so the system, the education system, it taught us to not worry about our financial future because our company or the government would take care of us when our working days are over. However, it is our children educated in the same school system who will end up paying for this absence of financial education. This message still is to work hard, earn money, and spend it. And when we run short, we can always borrow more. That was very real. And I had to change that paradigm, and it's still taking me time to change it. But in that, he talked about, unfortunately, 90% of the Western world subscribes to the above dogma simply because it's easier to find a job and work for money. If you are not one of the masses, I offer you the following 10 steps to awaken your financial genius. So, those 10 steps that Marcus just talked about, awaken your financial genius. I simply offer you the steps that I have personally followed. Get this part. If you want to follow some of them, great. If you don't, make up your own. Your financial genius is smart enough to develop its own list. If you put the action in, you will literally develop the mental pathways that you need to get to where you want to go. But if you spend all your time thinking, I promise you, no mental pathways will be developed. You got to do more than you think, period. Think about what you do, yes, but you have to do more than you think. Strategic action literally cures all of these different ills. And in that, you can also understand, if you zoom out and really just understand what he just read, that it is your moral responsibility after understanding this information to figure out and use your brain, use your financial genius to develop yourself to be able to teach these things to your next generation. I have to be able to teach these lessons to Brooklyn and Micah. This is why I've been very adamant that my wife and I read this book together, because this is now my fourth time reading it and she hasn't read it with me yet. And I'm like, yo, as a house, we need to get on the same financial page so that we can train these kids to not have to deal with the same struggles and BS that we dealt with by teaching them the priorities of spending habits. Literally, that's all it is. The priorities of actually educating yourself on things that will make a difference in your life. And we can do that at home. We don't have to just leave that up to the school. We don't have to be lazy as parents. We don't have to be lazy as adults, as family members. We can take that moral responsibility to educate our people. And it sucks because you have to battle through their different mindsets. You have to battle through the fact that they didn't read this book. But if you're still here 3-4 years later, even when they didn't read the book 3-4 years, like when you first told them about it, they might start listening to that thing now. Shout out Roshizi. Like, it's literally just about being consistent with your message and not being lazy enough, or excuse me, not being too lazy to the point where you just stop saying it. So these are big things that I just really wanted to dive in, because Marcus talked about how I've been able to teach him. Roshizi talked about how I've been able to tell her a few things in the process. And I just want to let everybody know, yo, everybody on this call is that influential. You literally just got to open up your mouth. Last week, we talked about inviting a new person on today's book club call. I know that somebody invited somebody, because somebody hopped on here. I don't know their name. iPhone said, my sister-in-law invited me to this book club call. I'm going to just tune in because my toddlers are loud. Shout out to that person hopping on the call, but huge shout out to the person who invited them on the call to just be surrounded by this knowledge and this intelligence. Shout out to my friend Anastasia on the call, OG Triple OG. I hope her partner's in the cut too. Both of these ladies are amazing people that I met down in New Mexico. And ultimately, it took one quick text. Hey, yo, I told her about the book club earlier this week. Hey, yo, you on? Send her the Zoom. She said, how do I get on? Send her the Zoom. She hopped on. She texted me in the process. There are so many intelligent people on here talking about each and every one of y'all. So just invite some people to get access to information that they don't normally have access to, that they normally wouldn't be influenced by. And in that, you can choose to make a difference in other people's lives as well. And with that, if you choose to do that for free, as Marcus said, eventually you'll get compensated for it. This week, I've been going through crazy, crazy, crazy financial things. And in this process, I just decided, let me quit stressing. Let me not go work my ass off on the street trying to DoorDash the rest of this extra bread that I need, because I know there's no way that I'm going to make it all if I go spend my time doing that. So let me spend my time a little bit more wisely, waiting on God, figuring it out, and making more offers, period. And in that process, now just yesterday, I had conversations to the point where I'm looking at 3 different opportunities that are trying to pay me 5 racks. In that, like, yo, we can change our lives if we change our paradigm and actually start to move and utilize the faith that we've built, as well as the intelligence that we have and the skill sets that we've been able to acquire. So in that, once you make these like legitimate choices, that is when you will get to freedom. And that was literally number 2 on page 109 when he talked about making the daily choice. It's real life. You literally hold the power to choose your future. And 9 times out of 10, you know the things that you need to do. It's just you might be a little bit afraid to do them. And so instead of choosing to not be rich, instead of choosing to not be disciplined, instead of choosing to do the thing that you know is not going to yield the result, how about you choose the opposite? And it's lit. Like, I absolutely love this book because, and especially these last 2 chapters, because it literally talked about everything that we've been doing for the last few years. The reason me and Marcus can hop on here and share value every single week is literally because, like, we are diving into education, CDs, seminars, courses on the weekly. We still be taking extra courses outside of everything that we be having going on. We be hopping on extra webinars, sending them to each other. Like, bro, it's crazy. If you ever pull up to Minnesota or pull up on me, I probably handed you one of these audios out of my car and been like, yo, here, listen to this, or go find this audio on YouTube and go listen to this. Like, you have to do these things. And in that, somehow, the world just kind of compensates you on the back end as you are doing these things. That's one thing I've noticed about my life, because sometimes I'm like, there's no way I've actually paid my bills. Like, how is this happening? Where is this money coming from? But literally, it's blessings coming from all over the place because of the seeds that we've been able to plant in the past. So, in that, if you guys continue to plant the seeds now, as you guys know the knowledge, I promise you, people will seek you out for that knowledge. And you've just got to be what he called an Indian giver and be like, what's in it for me? Or you give me what you give me back? What's popping? You know what I'm saying? Where's my bread at? Where's my ROI? What kind of asset am I getting for free? Because ultimately, I'm giving you something for free. And when you give without expecting to get anything back, eventually you can literally give something and expect something back. Why? Because they expect to give it to you because the value is that good. It's literally all it is. Somebody asked me to help them with their social media strategy. It went from people asking me for free and taking up a lot of my time to all of a sudden this dude's trying to pay me a rack per business. And he got 4 of them. And I'm like, all right, bet, bro. Say less. I'll meet you on Sunday. It's a process, but you got to give out the free game in order to get paid for it. In order to get to a point where people would pay money to come and hear me speak, I literally had to go and give out all of that game for free for years. And so, in that, man, shout out to Rich Dad Poor Dad, because he literally just walks you through in action steps exactly what it takes to get to the life that you want. Go and dive into the information. Go master a formula before you make a new one. Like, follow the recipe, follow the play, run the play. We got systems on systems on systems for just about anything that you'd want to do, whether it's building your own brand, building your own website, learning how to trade in the marketplace, learning how to actually invest, learning how to actually dive into crypto. We literally have systems. Go become a master at one of them. Dive in. We got people on this call who specialize in mindset, spiritual mastery. We got people on this call who specialize in the trading space, in the Forex space specifically. We got people in TGF who specialize in crypto as well. Like, specialized knowledge is key. So you've got to pick a system and then you've got to really go master it. And then from there, you can go share that expertise, get to know a little bit about a lot as well in the process because you've picked your lane. Like, I picked my lane of mindset and leadership. And in the 11 years that I've been in this industry, I've just gone and worked every single part of the process, like Rich Dad Poor Dad talks about. So I've worked behind the stages. I've worked in the lines. I've worked in registration. I've worked selling the products. I've worked outside telling people to shut up at the seminars. I've been a speaker at the seminars. I've been, like, as I said, the registration person at the seminars. I've been the person out here in the field. Now I've also been the CEO and founder of one of the companies. So in that, like, you literally have to go. This girl just scared the mess out of me, y'all. I ain't gonna lie to you. I had no idea what this was. Thought it was an animal and almost punched my daughter. Crazy. Whoa. Little nigga just ran up on me. What's up, Brooklyn? I love your butterfly, yo. Look at my daughter butterfly, y'all. We out here chalking it up. But it's just crazy, man. This entire book is just action steps. And so if I can implore anybody who's on the call or hasn't heard this book or listened to the book or read the book, please go find this thing. You can find it at just about any bookstore. You can go on YouTube. It's a free audio. You can slide, if you're a member of TGF, you could slide into the digital library, download that thing for free. Like, please go find this book because it literally gives you all of the keys to get exactly where you want to go. There's a reason why we've read this thing every year since we started this book club, y'all. It has been on purpose because we know for a fact that repetition is the father of learning. And you've just got to hear these things a multitude of times until you start to implement them. It's just like the presentation. How do we tell people to learn the presentation? Watch it, read it, listen to it. However you got to do, just hop on the call. Literally, you'll be able to get in tune. You just got to practice. And that's the same thing with this book and all the lessons that it teaches. You will not get everything the first time. Imani's read this book how many times, sis? 2 times. Literally. And she's still like, yo, this is wild. She's out here having like whole paradigm shifts and moments where she's getting excited on the call. Off the second time reading the book. This is my 4th time reading the book, and I'm still having the same moments. You've just got to re-ingest the same information in order to master it. Period. If you rode a bike one time without training wheels and you fell off, you're not a master at riding a bike. You got to go and do that thing over and 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 over again so you can ride that thing with no hands and chill on that bike and just vibe out. Literally, your finances, your personal development, your growth, your success, it is the exact same. There are pivotal lessons that you must just dive into and learn. Period. So shout out to Rich Dad Poor Dad, because in all of the books that we read, this is truly one of those ones that go through every single step on what you actually need to learn. From there, if you want to dive in on certain subjects, if you actually just go look at the book list that we've done for the last 365, you'll find books that dive into each and every one of these subjects as well. So you can dive further in and go and master those systems. But this right here is the roadmap. Period. That's the reason it's the bestseller for the last 25 years. So follow the roadmap. My apologies for my rant. I appreciate y'all for being here. I appreciate you guys for literally just investing in your personal growth. I appreciate y'all for hopping on every single Saturday when you could be kicking it, sleep. You could be doing whatever the heck you wanted to do. But instead, y'all wake up here and actually chase the best version of yourself. And that means something. So give yourself a quick little pat on the back before you get out here in the field and go get to it. And let's go get to it. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And I'll pass it over to Marcus to talk about the next book for next week. And I'm excited about that one. It's game time. Go ahead, brother.
Boom. Yo, honestly, fire, bro. I really want to emphasize something that he said because it could be taken 2 ways and they both are required. He said, do more than you think. So not only are you going to have to do more than you actually think is required of you, but you also need to do more than you're actually thinking. So it's both. It's both. You can get caught up in your mind, bro. Me and Mikhail help each other get out of this every time we're in that. Like we could be just thinking. We're like, bro, motion creates motion. Get to it. You know what I'm saying? And if you can actually do the things that you're learning more than you're just thinking about them or planning it out, it'll work in your favor because you're actually doing it. So you'll grow, you'll progress, and it'll be towards what it is that you've been thinking or playing about. Shout out Amber, you know what I'm saying, in terms of what she's been doing with PC. When we met or reconnected with Amber and I introduced her to Mikhail, she was literally in the process of learning for years how to build community, especially in the lane that she wanted to do it at. And I remember her specifically saying, bro, I've just been doing it. I feel like she's like it was like the first week she had joined within TGF and she was getting all the systems put out for PC so that every member that is currently benefiting, growing, and learning with her has everything that they need. She was grinding, knew the effort. She was like, bro, what's crazy is I knew everything. I just had to take a second, plan it out, and then just do it. And the doing it part is a lot more simpler when you actually just figure it out as you go, y'all. So again, as Mikhail said, I encourage you guys, challenge yourself, especially if this is not your first time reading the book, but put these principles in action in a way that you haven't done before and you'll get a different result. If you do it with some more intention, you're going to win, period, point blank. It's literally the sauce. So Mikhail, appreciate the reminders, bro. It's fire and desire for real. But next book, y'all, Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Check the book club group, the link, the video, audio for the actual hard copy as well. And the location in the digital library are all written in the post. Yo, this book, game changer, man. And I love it because in the process, emotional intelligence is the key factor that separates people from self-mastery to a point where they get that financial wealth. It's something that is not talked about. Most people are not being taught it or have never learned it before. And I'm seeing an entire generation where they're being more intentional to help their children understand their emotions so that they can properly utilize them in the right way. But every 7 and 8 figure earner I've learned from, connected to, every book that I've read talks about your ability to regulate your emotions. It's a skill. You might so there is a first one, but 2.0 has everything, the sauce you need. There is also, if you buy the hard copy, an EQ test. So this EQ test gives you an idea of where your EQ level is at, such as a IQ, intentional, or your intelligence meter. This is like your emotional meter. I implore you guys, take the test, see where you are at, be honest with yourself. You ain't got to lie to nobody. You know the truth. So just be honest while you're answering the questions. Don't ask it as you want to be. Ask as you're taking a real reflection. And then, and that's crazy. Yeah, it's lit. It's going to be powerful, Imani, like truly. I know that the moment I really started intentionally building my emotional intelligence was the moment a lot of things around me started to change, because it really does take a thought process, and it takes mad intention. And majority of the time it's you stumbling through the way, because it's a skill. You're going to have to figure it out. As Mikhail said, you're going to have to get on the bike, fall and fall and fall and fall until you're riding on the bike. It's the same process. But the book does a great job giving you intentional steps, applicable steps that once you read, you can put into practice. I promise y'all, if you show up for yourself with this book, 365 from today, watch how your whole life changes. It's going to be literally surreal, just because the results that you get from emotionally regulating and having that intelligence to help people to do what it is you need to do. And especially if you're in leading, like I said, like I think it was like last week or a couple weeks ago, you're going to have to not only regulate your emotions, but then receive other people's unregulated emotions if you're going to lead. Otherwise, you can't. You won't. You'll fall to the level of pettiness we're all designed to fall towards. We're emotional beings. We got these things for a reason. And at the end of the day, they're just neurotransmitters, y'all. It's just a chemical reaction. So you can absolutely get in tune. You can become aware. This is a good first base for anybody who's never really heard about it or has never really applied it. But as you can tell, I'm very excited about it. I've been wanting to throw this in the rotation for some time, and I think it couldn't be coming in at a better time, truly. So yeah, books in there. I'll make sure I update the chapters, y'all, before Monday, so that every call you'll see exactly what chapters we're going over. But it's not that crazy hard of a read, and it's not crazy big either, but it's extremely impactful. So I look forward to the discussion. Appreciate everybody hopping on. Much love. Let's go out, disperse, and multiply. We'll see y'all at the top. Peace.
Bye, y'all.
My fam.